Ferrari plans to introduce a new engine across the next two Formula 1 races, which it hopes will decisively turn the tide in the battle with Mercedes. Coming off the back of Ferrari's first race victory of the season in the Barcelona Grand Prix, thanks to the efforts of Lewis Hamilton in a heavily upgraded car, there is a feeling that momentum in the title battle has started to swing suddenly away from Mercedes, which isn't dominating like it was at the very start of 2026, and has started to run into some concerning reliability problems. Mercedes can certainly no longer count on having 3 to 4 tenths of a second over the rest of the field in qualifying. Indeed, George Russell only beat Hamilton to pole at Barcelona thanks to a faster run through and off the final corner that was worth a scant 64 thousandths of a second. And of course, in the race, Russell struggled badly for pace and Hamilton dominated the final part of the Grand Prix after gaining track position with the help of a handily timed virtual safety car. But was the Ferrari actually faster than the Mercedes at Barcelona? It wasn't clear on race day because of the differences in their strategies and tyre choices. The tyre degradation was so high around this track, tough at the best of times, but especially so with a surface temperature of 50 degrees centigrade, that Hamilton's dramatic closing of the gap on his mediums after his second stop was easily explainable by the tyre age difference. But the fact that Hamilton qualified so close to Russell's pole time, around arguably F1's most aerodynamically demanding circuit, tells us that the 2026 Ferrari, with its latest upgrades, is absolutely on the pace despite its engine power shortfall to Mercedes. That shortfall may be smaller than it appeared in the first 5 races included in F1's catch-up mechanism, the Additional Development and Upgrade Opportunities, or ADUO, system. And with Ferrari having now been granted 2 upgrades for this season, because the FIA has judged its internal combustion engine to be more than 4% adrift of what Red Bull powertrains has produced, there would have been no reason not to run the internal combustion unit to its full power at Barcelona. But when we look at the GPS traces of the 2 cars in qualifying, it's clear that the Ferrari's deployment still tails off earlier than that of the Mercedes. The difference is smaller than it was, but this doesn't necessarily indicate a deployment gain. It could come from Ferrari's upgrade making it even faster through the corners than it was before. With faster corner exits, the electrical deployment has less to do. So looking at the reasons for Ferrari suddenly being on the pace, the exact split between the big aero upgrade and any possible freeing up of how the engine is being run is not definitive. What is clear is that the Ferrari is the fastest car through the corners. It does have the best spread of downforce. The way Ferrari has created the car suggests this advantage to be baked in. Its unique interpretation of the dimensional boxes by where it has placed the differential has allowed an extra bodywork volume behind the diffuser, onto which it has mounted its downforce enhancing exhaust blocking vane to direct more airflow to the rear wing. The extra bodywork effectively creates a bigger diffuser, which combined with the innovation around the exhaust has given the car great downforce. The Barcelona upgrade effectively fed this potent rear end with a more robust airflow from upstream. Its entry speed to almost every corner was higher than any other car and team. This all led McLaren's reigning champion Lando Norris to state Ferrari is the class of the field in terms of cornering performance, and would be dominating and embarrassing everyone if its engine was more potent. The strong rumour is there is a significant Ferrari power unit upgrade coming for the next race in Austria, with a further one scheduled for Zandvoort or Monza time post the August break, perhaps with a bigger turbo. The turbocharger is one area we know Ferrari deliberately compromised for the start of the rule set, knowing the performance trade-off would buy it significant advantages off the start line. That advantage has been eroded by a mixture of rule changes, particularly the new pre-start procedure the FIA introduced after safety concerns were raised in testing, and rival teams, particularly Mercedes, refining their own start procedures and clutch settings. We understand that Ferrari hopes to be able to introduce its first new power unit in time for Austria, and would only need to fit it on Saturday morning ahead of FP3, as old engines would be used on Friday anyway. The race team is pushing for it to get factory sign-off in time, but it's not been confirmed yet. If the new engine doesn't make it in time for Austria, then it could appear a week later instead at Silverstone, another highly power-sensitive circuit. Ferrari has some flexibility available with the timing, as both drivers are already on their second power units of the season, so aren't risking reliability concerns with the current allocation of parts. Ferrari believes a new turbo will give it power parity with the current Mercedes power unit. However, ADUO has also offered Mercedes the opportunity of a single upgrade this year, as its engine has been judged to be more than 2% behind the Red Bull one, despite the general feeling inside the paddock that the current Mercedes power unit, rather than internal combustion engine alone, is clearly the benchmark design overall. Mercedes did not plan its power unit development around the assumption of an upgrade opportunity, whereas Ferrari clearly did if it can produce an upgrade as soon as Austria. So whether any Mercedes upgrade can be made in time, and whether it will be potent enough to overcome the effectiveness of the Ferrari's revised aerodynamics will likely determine the shape of the next phase of the season. If Ferrari executes this engine upgrade correctly, then it could turn out to be a genius bit of gaming F1's Agio system. It's worth remembering that Ferrari deliberately sacrificed engine power for chassis performance under these rules. If you take that pioneering exhaust wing for example, we understand the back pressure it creates in the exhaust costs the power unit around 13 brake horsepower. The smaller turbo is great for drivability and start-line performance, but costs the engine in terms of outright power. Ferrari also chooses to run high on boost pressures, which again costs engine performance through worse cooling, but it improves the aerodynamic performance of the car. So while it's obvious that Ferrari lacks for power and straight-line speed compared to Mercedes, regardless of what the FIA's Agio calculations say about who ultimately has the best engine, this was also a deliberate choice on Ferrari's part to make its chassis work better. Ferrari started 2026 with what the race's resident F1 technical expert Gary Anderson called a fairly basic aerodynamic package, and even Hamilton said the same thing on occasions. But as this was a completely new rule set, this allowed the team to see which way the wind was blowing, see where it stood, and develop its package in the direction that track experience dictated. It's also fair to say, as Hamilton pointed out at Barcelona, that Ferrari has innovated in several areas on this car, such as with its upside-down rear wing to reduce drag on circuits with long straights, and with the exhaust wing we mentioned earlier. Ferrari have been bringing small updates to each race, but for Barcelona it introduced what could be called the big one. In reality, it encompassed most of the car, from the front wing to the diffuser. Nothing was left untouched, and it all seemed to work. After May's Miami Grand Prix, Hamilton identified the front wing as an area Ferrari was lacking in compared to its rivals, but the Barcelona update addressed this. Ferrari has now got the customary turning vane on the outer surface of the front wing end plate, which helps direct the airflow downwards, and with the help of some turning vanes mounted on the footplate, interacts better with the messy airflow coming off the front tyres. It also has some interesting vanes on the underside of the end plate foot, and this overall improves the performance of the front wing, the barge boards, and the leading edge of the underfloor. Ferrari has revised the profiling of that barge board to clean up the airflow to the side pod and work the front of the floor, which has also been reprofiled, harder. And it would seem from the car's impressive cornering performance at Barcelona that everything is starting to come together nicely when longer duration corners are demanding a lot from the car's aerodynamics. Further downstream, Ferrari has also altered the floor detail to increase the rear tyre outwash. This is achieved by connecting the airflow that is travelling through the undercut side pod area and over the floor's upper surface to the tyre squash created when the rear tyre rotates onto the track surface. All this working together creates improved downforce levels, and with it better consistency of downforce through the differing ride heights that the car goes through with different corner speeds. And of course, on top of all of this is Ferrari's trick wheel rims, which we discussed in the previous video, taking advantage of returned and probably temporary regulatory freedom in this area to help the front tyres fire up by retaining heat while cooling the overstressed rear tyres down by trying to dissipate it. It's all added up to bring a significant performance boost to Ferrari, both in qualifying and the race. And although Mercedes just about retains an edge overall, this forthcoming engine upgrade from Ferrari really does have the potential to tip the delicate balance of the scales. Suddenly, the Ferrari is looking like such a formidable package, the team reckons internally that it has improved by 7 to 8 tenths of a second since that basic launch specification. And suddenly, it's looking like such a formidable package that with so many races still left to go, that 41 points between Kimi Antonelli and Hamilton doesn't look at all unbridgeable.